Welcome to Out of Home Insider, the loudest voice in out of home. Today's episode is 100% guaranteed to be made in the USA. We're joined by Don Rongione, CEO of Bollman Hats, America's oldest hat maker, and founder of American Made Matters, an organization that promotes the economic, environmental, and social impact of buying products made in the USA. We'll talk about the legacy of being one of America's oldest brands, how the landscape has changed over the years, and what the opportunities are ahead for brands that truly define their mission. We talk about American Made Matters and the impact that the organization is having across the country by promoting the value of made in the USA. Ultimately, this episode is about democratization, and that's exactly what we're doing at onescreen.ai. Visit onescreen.ai and check out our learning center for case studies, ebooks, and a ton of great insight on how brands are unlocking new growth from old channels. And check out AmericanMadeMatters.com to get involved. There's a button just for media owners about 3/4 of the way down the page, so make sure to check that out too. Without further ado, let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to the Out of Home Insider Show, a podcast like no other, hosted by the one and only Tim Rowe. Get ready to have some knowledge dropped on you and to be entertained, because nothing's more valuable than food for your brain. So sit back, relax, we're about to dive in as the best industry podcast is about to begin.
Don, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Tim, for having me.
Absolutely. And as a fan of good hats, it's an honor to have you here because Bollman Hat Company it's an iconic American company that goes back 150, 170 years. Is that about right?
We're coming on our 154th. So founded in 1868 in an old whiskey distillery that was across the street on Main Street. George Bollman, who was 29 years old, started his hat factory at 29 and grew. And here we are today, 153 plus years later, and a global company.
And so fun to think about because 150 years, there's not too much that changes about a hat. I'm sure that, it's unlike technology or 150 years, the way that we talk and communicate has changed so much. But there's something sort of beautiful and beautiful about the simplicity of a hat. How was it that Bollman came to be all that time ago?
Yeah, so George had apprenticed at a local hat company, and you weren't dressed if you didn't wear a hat. It was part of the daily uniform back in, really from 1868 when the company was founded until probably around 1960. That was really the case. And George had a love of hat making. It was a great way of providing for his family and the local community. There were a lot of local hat companies that were started in this part of the country, Berks and Lancaster County and outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where the German settlers had brought the hat making craft to this area and settled. There was good access to water. Water was used to power the factory in those early days.
Wow.
And we had an old barn here on the property that George bought after a few years of success, where I'm currently located, which is our headquarters, and factory still exists here. And that barn was used to stall the horse that was used to transport the hats by a horse and cart to the railroad station in those early days. So not much has changed in terms of the process of making a hat. There's been some automation, but not a lot. It's still very labor intensive, creates a lot of jobs, which is a good thing. But everything else has changed, right? Our marketplace, our brands, the way we go to market, and we're just a very different company, but we still have the same foundation of hat makers.
It's amazing. And you mentioned that the number of jobs it creates. And I think that Javier, who connected us for this conversation here today, I think he shared a statistic with me about the number of jobs that an American manufacturing company or product creates. Do you have some insight around that? I think, was it 3 jobs for every?
Yeah, there's been different versions of that, but 3.5 at least of residual jobs are created for every one manufacturing job. It's more powerful than any other segment of the economy, healthcare, government, education, because of the allied jobs that are required to support manufacturing, research and development, machinery, transportation, all the supporting cast of legal and accounting and professional. And it also gives back more powerfully to the local communities, because that strong manufacturing job base not only creates jobs, but it creates a recycling in the economy of the wages that are paid to the employees, who then reinvest into buying stuff and shopping and eating at local restaurants, et cetera. So our country, I believe, was built and grew based on the strength of our manufacturing prowess. We've certainly lost some of that over the years, and part of what America Made Matters is really about is to educate consumers on the importance of buying U.S. made product to strengthen the American dream.
Yeah, so let's maybe unpack and talk a little bit more about that. Bollman, obviously an iconic fixture in American business and American history. And there you have this other initiative called American Made Matters, where we're promoting other businesses like Bollman that are made here in America. And I know that there's some particulars about that. I hope that they don't shut me down, kick me off the internet if I've mischaracterized. But talk to me a little bit more about American Made Matters and how you're getting more businesses like Bollman together to tell that story.
So on July 4th of 2009, we launched American Made Matters with a mission to educate consumers on the importance of buying U.S. made product to strengthen the American dream. Right. So there are a lot of dynamics that we've spoken about around manufacturing that strengthens the economy and the independence of our country, stronger communities, better economy, and as well as environment and safety of products. Bollman had just gone through a very painful downsizing where we had to discontinue our whole cut and sewn department, where we made baseball caps and other cut and sewn fabric, leather and cotton type hats, because China had gained most favored nation status and goods were coming in from China at lower than our cost to produce it here, not our selling price, but our cost. And we just found it impossible to compete with the lower end of the market, which was where they were really making the most impact. We were able to continue making felt hats, which is something that we've made right back to 1868 when we were founded, and straw hats, as we still do today, and have subsequently made knit hats here. But we had to lay off over 100 of our employee owners in one day. We are an employee-owned company, so all of our U.S.-based employees become owners through what's known as an employee stock ownership plan. And that was incredibly painful. It was gut-wrenching. I cried. It was very emotional to communicate that we had to do this as part of the survival of our domestic manufacturing and ultimately our company. And it got me thinking, as I try to do in life and business, when a bad experience occurs, is what I could do to prevent that from happening again. Learn from your mistakes in life and business. So that directly led to the founding of American Made Matters, and with the mission that I've stated. And we garnered a lot of interest from other manufacturers that were either direct to consumer kind of products or business to business products, whether it was a steel fabricator that worked to help build manufacturing buildings or other types of structures, to toy makers, to sign makers. The interest was exciting. And we had at some point 46 of the 50 United States represented with over 400 members. And really, we were spreading the message, helping people connect with manufacturers as well as consumer goods. At some point, the FTC said, time out. You've really got to vet these companies if you're going to promote using the logo in connection with these companies and send consumers to them. So we've discontinued doing that element of it, but we're continuing with social media to educate consumers, which is the original mission, and to try to really instill the importance of buying and wearing and driving and owning U.S. made product. One of the things that we do and have continued to do is on November 19th each year, we sponsor American Made Matters Day. It's a day that we ask every consumer to buy at least one U.S. made product and hope that instills in them the mindset of buying U.S. made product for the ensuing holiday season and hopefully well beyond. In the past, we had our members providing coupon codes and really promoting American Made Matters Day, some of whom, including our company, would have tours for the public where we invited people in to see the manufacturing process and experience the conversion of raw materials into a finished product, which is very exciting, especially if it's something you can wear and, and make personal. And with COVID, we haven't had the tours like we used to have, but we are doing American Made Matters Day, and have continued to do so on November 19th. That day is meaningful to me because that was my father's birthday. When my father returned from World War II, without a high school education, he went to work as a cutter in an overcoat factory in Philadelphia, where he worked for his entire career, cutting fabric and making coats. And he instilled in me and my siblings at an early age the importance of being proud of what you make and buying and supporting American factories and American manufacturing processes. And so in his honor, I selected November 19th, his birthday, as American Made Matters Day. So happens that it's well timed in terms of the holiday shopping season.
Well timed, yeah.
So we're hoping that your message with the audience here will get that out there, and everybody will buy at least one made U.S. made product on November 19th.
Well, this will definitely be out before then. So if you're listening to it and it's before November 19th, 2021, make sure that you put that in your calendar, November 19th, for this year and for every year going forward. Don, it's AmericanMadeMatters.com, correct?
Yep, it is that. And there's a place where you can connect with our organization and support it. You can follow us on social media. You can make contributions to the cause in terms of the messaging. What we can't do, unfortunately, is promote specific brands and products at this point. But the message is clear, that it's important to many elements of our economy, security as a nation, and to create jobs for strengthening local communities. And so I think it's a message that everybody can tap into. It's not a political. We're not relying on the government as a solution. My firm belief is that as consumers, we hold the power, right? If as consumers we ask, where is your U.S. made product? The retailers will in turn get the message, look for American made products and put them on their shelves, which then will create a groundswell of jobs and opportunities and stronger local communities.
And we're seeing it now, obviously, with some of the supply chain shortages going around. There's, I think, 60 cargo ships parked off the coast of California and New York right now. It's more important than ever. And to your point about national security, being able to manufacture and own that supply chain, it's something that's, I think, really special about out of home. And that's maybe the call to action to anybody listening to this. It's wondering how can we get involved? It's just that it's using our medium. It's using our voice as an industry to promote causes like American Made Matters. So, I think about a local billboard plant and the number of people that employs locally, from sales reps to real estate to, all the people that make all those things to come together, the guys and gals out there hanging billboards in 20 degrees below zero with hail hitting them in the side of the head, right? Like, these are real, these are local communities, to your point, who are manufacturing and assembling things here in the United States. Out of home is such a great analog for the importance of being able to be self-sustainable.
Yeah. And, these jobs are not always easy. They take a mind and a strength and a physical nature in some cases. But, I think it's a great source of pride, as I said, when you make something with your hands, and it really creates a stronger middle class, a working class in this country, which I believe, again, really built our country, and opportunities to own homes and to send your children to educate, to be educated and have better lives. The tagline that we've developed for this year is: a shorter journey, a healthier planet, more jobs in the USA, buy an American made product today. So
who can't get behind that?
Yeah, that's right. The shorter journey is relevant to your point, Tim, that, that with all the supply chain issues globally and all the port congestion and containers being delayed, there's going to be empty shelves, we're hearing, for the holiday shopping season. Well, for producing it in this country, it doesn't have to travel over a body of water on a container. It does require trucking, but we're not waiting for containers to get into this country, and we're providing for our own people.
Absolutely. Don, how did you come to be at the top of the food chain at Bollman?
I joined Bollman Hat Company on January 2nd, 1982. So I'm about to celebrate my 40th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Amazing as that sounds. Yeah. I was just a young guy out of college, a couple of years. I was in public accounting, got my CPA, and Bollman was a client of mine and looking for a controller at the time. And as I mentioned, I had this great affinity to manufacturing and really, what Bollman did here spoke to me on so many levels. Being great manufacturing company of great history, being a company that created, tens of thousands of jobs over its long history, having a great ownership culture and caring for the people. There were letters that were written to employees who were serving in World War II, keeping them informed about what was going on back here at the company. The company was doing some government contracting. Those letters ended with a wage dividend being paid, which was like a profit sharing, even though these people servicing our country in the war effort weren't working for the company. So that's just one of many examples of the company really having this caring culture over so many decades. And it spoke to me on many different levels. And I had the good fortune to get promoted early in my career. I was corporate secretary within 2 years and a member of a leadership team at the tender age of 26. And, pretty much there was no turning back. It was in my blood. I had opportunities at an early age. I went into manufacturing for about a decade of my career and then became chief operating officer and then president and CEO in 2002. So about half of my tenure here, half of my 40 years has been as president and CEO.
So I've got to ask the $1 million question, and particularly because when I think of this brand, for me, I have very, very specific memories. Kangol is one of the brands in the Bollman portfolio, and I think of a Kangol hat, and I think of late '90s hip hop. Like, it was such an iconic hat. I think of LL Cool J. I'm sure over the years that Bollman's done some amazing out of home campaigns. How, if you can give the candid hot take on, out of home started ironically about the same time, at least here domestically in the United States, 1850. A company out of Boston called John Donnelly and Sons started doing the billboards for P.T. Barnum. And there's, iconic signs that they worked on. The Citgo sign in Boston was a John Donnelly and Sons creation. So it's fun to see the Americana and the heritage kind of fused together in this episode, but you have such iconic brands and you've been there for such a great period of time. I'm sure out of home has been a fixture at some points in that time. What's your take on out of home?
Yeah, well, our Bailey brand is actually our American brand. Bailey has a Western component and a fashion component, and would have used all kinds of advertising media over the years, including billboard and print and others. And so, very iconic in terms of that connection with getting the message out to consumers. The Kangol brand actually was founded in the UK.
No kidding. That makes sense.
Yeah, and when we acquired the rights, the global rights to Kangol headwear, and here's a Kangol cap that's made here at America's oldest hat factory. The brand had pivoted and was trying to exit. It was owned by an investment banking firm, and had moved most of its production from England to China. We acquired that China factory and decided to sell it, and ultimately we moved equipment from that factory to Adamstown, Pennsylvania.
What a good story!
Where it's housed here and created jobs and are producing some of the iconic Kangol product here at America's oldest hat factory with U.S. labor. So it was never here in the beginning. It didn't move and return. It was moved from England to China and then to the United States. We did a Kickstarter campaign and had a lot of fun with that. Samuel L. Jackson appeared in it. And
I was going to say, when you held that one up, I thought of Samuel L. We had some Pulp Fiction memes going around this morning.
Yeah. We coined the phrase mother funder. I have to pronounce that very carefully.
I saw that on the Instagram, I think.
Yeah. So we had a great deal of fun with it, raised awareness, raised some money to help move this equipment here, get it set up. And today we're producing over 1,200 Kangol caps per week with U.S. labor in America's oldest hat factory. So that's pretty cool. Our other top tier brand is Helen Kaminsky, which is an Australian women's brand, hand crocheted raffia and braided goods. We're making some of those felt hats here as well. So we've become a global company with the industry's leading brands. We also sell on hats.com and which we own, as well as other e-commerce websites for those brands that I've mentioned, and really reinvented our company many times over the years from a domestic anonymous manufacturer that made product private label for other brands to a company that still does that, but is a leader in our industry with a global marketplace and the leading brands in the industry selling direct to consumer as well as through wholesale channels.
Don, let me ask you that question, because that's a really interesting topic. I've got two books. One's called Goliath's Revenge and one's called Eating the Big Fish. Eating the Big Fish is about challenger brands, disruptors, these new born online brands that come in, completely shake up a category and kill a blue chip brand in 5 years. Goliath's Revenge is about how to use challenger brand thinking as an incumbent to ward off any new challengers. For a company as old as Bollman, you've gone through so many iterations. What are some of those guiding principles that you've used to lead the company through like a really transitional period? 40 years, like you've seen technology change so much in the way we buy and consumer behavior. What are some of the guiding principles that direct that?
Well, stewardship, I'd say, and that's, the mindset of looking over the assets and the heritage and history of the organization with a mind to the future and always trying to grow it. Our core values are 5. We are customer driven. We think and act like owners, which goes back to this ownership culture that I've spoken about. We are respectful in all that we do. We strive for excellence in all that we do, and we are team players. So those are our 5 guiding core values that really drive our thinking. We want our people all to embrace those and exhibit those in their daily behavior. Our core purpose is to be the best in the world at designing, marketing, producing, and delivering fashion headwear. And we do so, as I've mentioned, through these top brands. And so that has allowed us to really protect the past, but really think about the future. And when things are changing, like department stores are closing down or malls are closing down, we got to think differently. And how do we continue to grow our business and connect with consumers? Sometimes it's tightening the belt when times are tough, but always thinking about what's next and being innovative with regard to product, as well as how we market and connect with ultimately the consumers and support our retailers in the process. And I think that ownership culture that we created when we formalized the ESOP in 1985, but really existed back to early days of George taking care of local employees in the community, is what has allowed us to survive all these 153 years and really create what we believe is a forever company, right? We don't talk in terms of the next 153 years. We talk in terms of forever.
You've certainly withstood the test of time, and wishing you many, many more centuries of infinite time to come. I'd like to get your input on this. The Kangol story is so interesting to me that UK went to China and you made a serious investment to bring it under the Bollman brand, but then, specifically to bring it back here to the United States. Are there more opportunities like that? Maybe not just in your category, but just at large. Is there an opportunity now for companies to find growth levers by acquiring brands that have maybe been mismanaged or not properly valued as overseas brands and bring them back? Do you see that?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially now more than ever with the global supply chain issues that everyone's facing, closer proximity to the market really helps to accelerate the ability to respond quickly to changing consumer needs and wants, and making sure that you're responsive without holding huge amounts of inventory that can really kill you if you've guessed wrong. So shortening the supply chain and closer proximity to market. Still, the U.S. is a huge global consumer and lover of brands. So making that connection between the maker and the consumer is important, and that connection helps to build brands as well as stronger business models. Really, when you eliminate all that supply chain cost and time, and really have the right product at the right place, I think now more than ever, there's an opportunity for brands and companies to reshore their manufacturing and tell those stories to an audience that will connect with it.
I couldn't agree more. It's definitely an exciting time in the, some of the degradation because of privacy and data laws and online, advertising is certainly changing a lot. And I think that now more than ever, brands need to focus on building brands instead of just getting customers to come to their website and buy stuff. The value of a brand over the next 10 years is going to grow exponentially. And that opportunity that you just talked about is really significant.
Yeah, people want to connect with brands on a personal level, right? Well, why does that brand exist, and how does that provide meaning to me as a person? It's part of my, my persona and who I am. And so the brand's got to speak to the audience that it really is trying to connect with, and tell the stories that resonate with that audience, whether it's about sustainability and a better planet and environment, or whether it's about creating jobs, or an attitude and a lifestyle that really connects with that audience. All those things ultimately resonate and help brands to become global and build upon themselves and sustainable.
Definitely. Don, take us out. Latitude and longitude. Where can folks find you? Where do they find Bollman? Give us that American Made Matters plug once again. You got to take it action. November 19th, American Made Matters Day. Give everybody the coordinates.
Okay. So AmericanMadeMatters.com as a way to connect with this community. November 19th every year is American Made Matters Day. Buy at least one thing made in the United States, and tell your loved ones and friends to do the same. We created this pyramid with the very bottom of the food chain is the people who don't know, don't look, don't care about where it's made, to the very top of those that will only buy it if it's U.S. made. We'll commend the retailers if they offer U.S. made, and tell them if they don't, I'll buy when you do offer that. Bollman Hat Company is America's oldest hat maker, employee owned. BollmanHats.com is where you can find us. We market on hats.com, as well as our top brands, BaileyHats.com, Kangol.com, and HelenKaminsky.com. We are America's oldest hat maker here in Adamstown, Pennsylvania, since 1868, and have created what we believe is a forever company.
Such an incredible story. Don, thank you so much for sharing all of the history, your personal journey, all of the great work that you're doing with American Made Matters. Really, really appreciate having you here today.
Thank you for this has been fun, and you're certainly getting messages out that are very important, and I hope your audience appreciates what you do, Tim.
Thank you. And we definitely appreciate the audience, because without them, it would just be me in a basement recording conversations. So couldn't appreciate you more. If you found this to be helpful, educational, informational, any of the above, please make sure to smash that subscribe button down below in the corner. Follow on all the platforms, and we'll see y'all next time.
Quarter century, I finally came to my senses. I finally got my hand up on the tinted Benz, kid. I see the world clear through my tinted lenses. With the dream and the drive, the possibilities endless. Now print that, send this all the way to Tokyo. Take a trip down south, down to Mexico. Next stop, Shanghai, the world-class trade show. First class all the way, cause that's how we roll. Yeah, call us the rock star businessman. Rockin' shows, we handle business, man. We got our own future in the palm of our hands, cause divided